At the start of our story, we encountered a cunning thief named Morris, who had been apprehended by the police for a bank robbery and was being transported to serve a life sentence in Alcatraz, the world's most secure prison. Alcatraz was a prison constructed on a small island right in the middle of the ocean. This meant that even if a prisoner managed to break out, they couldn't escape, as the surrounding waters would block their path. For this very reason, this prison held the reputation of being the most secure in the entire world. Only the most notorious and dangerous criminals from around the globe were incarcerated here. However, very soon, the formidable reputation of this prison was about to be completely shattered. Now, a cunning thief named Frank Morris had made his way into this prison, a man who had already broken out of other jails many times. But this time, Morris felt a little nervous because this particular prison was incredibly secure. However, Morris had no intention of spending his entire life here. He wanted to escape from this prison as soon as humanly possible. As soon as Morris entered the prison, he immediately began to plan his escape. He was then given a full body search from head to toe before being locked in a cell. A guard comes up to Morris and says to him, "Welcome to Alcatraz." And this is where the real story truly begins. Then suddenly, a bell rings, and all the cell gates automatically swing open. The officers then call the prisoners out of their cells. The discipline within this prison is also extremely strict. The inmates are required to strictly adhere to rules regarding cleanliness and returning to their cells promptly. All the prisoners, dressed in identical uniforms, then line up to receive their breakfast. Standing directly in front of Morris is a fellow prisoner named Litmus. Morris asks, "I didn't even get a fork. How will I eat these noodles now?" Litmus tells him, "Dude, this isn't your house. Just eat what you've been given, quietly." Then a dangerous prisoner named Wolf starts to tease Morris. Every single prisoner in the jail was fed up with Wolf. He would impose his will on every inmate there, and he also has many serious rape cases against him. This prison houses some of the most dangerous and notorious criminals. Here, Litmus approaches Morris asking for a bit of food, and Morris, without hesitation, offers him his own plate. Later, as Morris glances beneath the table, he discovers that Litmus isn't eating the meal himself, but is secretly feeding it to a small rat. That night, a prison guard escorts Morris directly to the warden's office. When Morris arrives at the warden's office, the warden tells him, "I know you possess a very sharp mind and are highly intelligent, but what good is all that here? Many individuals just like you have passed through these doors, yet not a single one has ever managed to escape from this place." Here, prisoners follow extremely strict rules. Someone can only visit you once every 2 months, and that's only if I'm in a good mood. The warden is a very strict individual who gives prisoners severe punishment for even the slightest infraction. He warns, "Don't even dare to think about escaping from here, or you'll be torn to pieces." To which Morris replies, "No, sir. With you here, who would even think of escaping from this place?" But in reality, from the very first day, Morris had already begun planning his escape from here. During this time, Morris, seeing an opportunity, stole the warden's nail clipper, which was actually a very small item. However, Morris knew that in a prison like Alcatraz, even this small nail clipper could be used for a very significant task. Upon returning to his cell, Morris quickly conceals this nail cutter inside his Bible. The following day, in the prison bathroom, Wolf once more begins to harass Morris. However, this time, Morris was not about to let him get away with it. Morris then reveals his true nature, seizing Wolf and giving him a thorough beating. After this brutal beating, Morris now commanded a new level of respect throughout the entire prison. Everyone began to fear Morris. Afterward, Morris is assigned a job in the library. There, he meets a man named English, who is the senior inmate of this prison. English was also sentenced to life imprisonment for the murder of 2 men. He had spent half of his life within these prison walls. He is familiar with every nook and cranny of this jail. He is aware of every single thing that happens here. He is also aware that Morris and Wolf had a fight this morning. He then hands Morris a stack of books, which Morris is tasked with delivering to each and every prisoner's cell. In the next scene, we're shown an open area where prisoners are playing various games. He then meets an artist named Doc, who is busy painting his own portrait. Doc is a very simple, decent man who has been serving his sentence here for many years. He had a great passion for painting and he dedicated most of his time to it. Doc believed anyone could go completely mad in a prison like Alcatraz, but his painting had kept his mind functioning normally until now. Morris asks Doc, "Why is there a flower painted in this picture? There's nothing like that on your shirt." Doc replies, "This is my happiness, which exists only within the painting, not within my mind." After that, Morris glances to his right side and spots English positioned above him. Morris immediately starts moving in English's direction. However, as Morris draws near to him, his disciples quickly intervene and stop Morris. English then gestures, "He's one of us. Let him come in." Morris goes and sits by him, immediately pouring out his heart. Morris asks him, "Will you help me escape from this place?" English just laughs at his words. "Look, son, this is not merely a prison. It's a grave for all of us. To get out of here, we'll first have to die. Only then will our dead bodies reach the cemetery from here. Let's say you somehow managed to climb these massive walls, then crossed all the dangerous forces, and by some magical power, you evaded hundreds of guards and even got out of jail. Even then, you won't escape because the sea will block your path ahead. So don't waste any more of your time. Just quietly serve your sentence. At least that way, you'll stay alive."
But Morris was determined. He wanted to escape this prison no matter what.
That night, an officer informed Morris that he would be assigned carpentry work starting the next day. He would also receive a wage of 50 cents per hour. Morris promptly agreed to take on this task because he believed he might discover a tool there that could assist him in his escape.
The very next day, Morris asks Litmus how to escape from this place. Litmus replies, "Oh, that's actually quite simple. Every single cell has an air vent. Through that, you can easily reach the roof. From there, perhaps you might be able to escape." And then, smiling at Morris's words, he simply walks away. Doc then quickly warns Morris, letting him know that Wolf is heading his way. At that precise moment, Wolf advances on Morris, ready to strike with a knife.
The overall conditions become quite severe. After spending 2 weeks in this dark, isolated cell, he is finally brought back to his original cell. There, Litmus sends Morris a note via his pet rat, which simply reads, "Welcome back, Morris." One day, a new inmate named Charlie arrives and is placed in the cell right next to Morris. Morris and Charlie quickly develop a strong friendship. Morris then introduces him to his other friends. At the same time, the warden, without informing anyone, begins to check each and every prisoner's cell. When he finally reaches Doc's cell, he discovers that there are many paintings made by Doc himself. The warden is completely astonished to see that Doc's collection of paintings is growing day by day. Doc had also painted Warden's portrait. Seeing it, Warden starts to smile. But for some unknown reason, the very next day, Warden orders the guards to throw out all the paintings Doc had created in his cell. Warden's decision completely broke Doc from the inside. Because Doc was only alive for his paintings, he loved every single painting he had made.
Because his one and only source of happiness here, even that, was cruelly taken from the poor fellow. Morris tries to reassure him, saying, "Don't worry, it was just a painting after all. You can always create many more." They say,
But Doc was unable to recover from this shock. The following day, Morris, seeing his condition, told the guard, "Please keep a very close eye on Doc. He seems quite disturbed. He might hurt himself." The guard then tells Morris to mind his own business. Doc is also given carpentry work with Morris. Doc then secretly places something in Morris's pocket. After that, he calls a guard and with the axe given for carpentry, he cuts off 3 of his fingers, saying, "I don't need these fingers if I can't paint with them." With that, he begins to scream. The guards then take him away. Morris notices that Doc has placed the very same flower in his coat, the one he had previously used to create his painting. Perhaps he intends to tell Morris that these people have completely stolen his happiness from him. Morris gathers Doc's severed fingers, places them carefully into a box, then turns to the guard and instructs him, "Take these to your warden immediately. He'll be absolutely delighted by the sight." The next day, Morris is sitting in his cell. He then observes a cockroach disappearing into an air vent, and this makes him realize there must be a way to escape from here. At that moment, English arrives and informs him that Doc had cut off his own fingers because his permission to paint had been revoked. That's why, out of sheer frustration, he ended up cutting off his own fingers. Upon learning this, Morris becomes incredibly furious. The very next day, in the dining hall, the warden confronts Morris, asking why he's giving so much support to this particular inmate. Morris simply states that there's nothing of the sort happening. After saying this, Morris then returns to his table and takes a seat. There, he encounters 2 brothers, named John and Clarence. However, Morris speaks to them as if he has known them for a very long time. John and Clarence were actually part of Morris's gang in another prison. John now found escaping prison easy, since these 2 brothers were as sharp as Morris, and all 3 started planning their escape. In the afternoon, Charlie's girlfriend comes to visit him. On the other side, English's daughter had arrived to meet her. The moment English saw her daughter, tears immediately came to her eyes because her daughter had grown up quite a lot during her absence. English felt a deep sense of regret for not being able to witness her daughter's childhood. On the other side, Charlie's wife informs him his mother is gravely ill, and doctors predict she won't live beyond a couple of months. Upon hearing this news, Charlie too starts contemplating an escape from Alcatraz. Just at that moment, a guard approaches and announces that their visiting time has concluded. Charlie becomes profoundly troubled by this revelation. That very night, he confides in Morris, saying, "If you devise a plan to escape this place, please make sure to include me." The next day, Morris, Charlie, John, and Clarence hold a meeting. Morris then explains to them that each cell's air vent leads directly to the roof above, and the second point is that this facility is situated in the middle of a vast saltwater sea, which has caused the walls to become significantly weakened. "I have a nail cutter, and I've already begun digging. If I dig little by little, creating a small tunnel to reach the roof, then after inspecting this place, I'll figure out how to escape from here." John asks, "If the guards find out at night that you're not in your cell, won't they get suspicious?" Just then, Clarence reveals he has the perfect solution to this predicament. He mentions there's a barber he knows personally, right here, who regularly cuts the prisoner's hair. He can supply us with enough hair, and with that, we can craft a dummy head to place on the bed. After that, even if we're out of the tunnel in the wall and up on the roof, the guards won't suspect us, because we'll have fake heads placed on our cell beds. But the problem still remained. We'd escape the prison, but how would we cross the ocean? Morris tells John, "Look, I'm going to need your help with this. You work in the closing department, after all. Over there, you'll find raincoats made for those police officers. So you'll need to steal some raincoats and bring them to me. We can then make a tube boat and life jackets from them to cross the sea." "Here," Charlie says. "Brother, please give me a task too. I really want to help you guys." Morris tells Charlie, "When I dig out the ventilation grate, you stand guard so no guard sees us. And when you dig, I'll be on guard duty." Morris's plan was approved by everyone, and they began their work that very night. However, the nail cutter was much too small for digging through the wall. Morris had to apply a great deal of pressure to operate it, and he found excavating the wall quite challenging. He got hold of something small, but he slowly started digging the hole. The next day at the dining table, he tells his friends that he needs a bigger tool for digging. Scratching the wall with a nail clipper is proving very difficult. Just then, Morris, looking at the spoon in his hand, got an idea. He intentionally rubs the spoon on his shoe, making it filthy. Then Morris summoned the guard and declared, "This spoon is quite dirty. I need a different spoon, please." The other prisoners then asked the guard to exchange their spoons as well. The guard found nothing wrong and immediately allowed the spoon to be changed. He then walked straight to the table where another security guard was seated, but as he began to swap the spoons on the table, John But he pays no attention to his warning. The very next day, he approaches Litmus, asking for matches, and makes a proposition. "If you agree to help me, I will ensure your mouse receives a portion of my food every single day." Litmus, delighted by this offer, readily accepts the deal, primarily because he was very fond of the mouse. That same night, Litmus hands over his matches to Morris. Morris then extracts a handle from a nail cutter, which he intends to fashion into a small shovel. He then breaks the spoon, attaching it to the nail cutter's handle. Next, he lights a match, carefully welding both pieces together to create a sharp, pointed tool. With that done, he immediately begins digging around the vent. Charlie is on guard duty. If a guard approaches from that direction, he'll immediately blow his whistle to signal Morris. However, while keeping watch, Charlie dozes off, and just at that moment, a guard appears. But luckily, at the crucial time, English stepped in and averted the guard's attention. On the other hand, hearing English's conversation, Charlie's eyes also opened. But he's so tense, he can't even manage to whistle. Then he accidentally drops something. Morris understands the hint, covers the vent, and quickly lies down on the bed. The guard asks if there's a burning smell in the air. Morris replies, "Sir, with you around, who would ever dare to smoke? I don't smell a thing." The guard would have felt a sense of relief, thinking someone actually appreciated him. As soon as he left, Morris removed the concrete around the vent, but he noticed screws were also embedded in the ventilation grill, which would require a sharp tool to cut. During this time, whenever Morris had a chance to go outside, he would quietly dump the cement from the grill. The next day, while doing his carpentry work, he picks up a piece of metal that is as sharp as a knife, but Charlie asks him, "How will you take it outside, avoiding the metal detector?" Morris confidently says that he will take care of everything. When Morris steps outside, the metal detector at the door starts beeping loudly. It turns out Morris had simply carried the metal in his hand. The guard asks, "Why are you taking this with you?" Morris replies, "Sir, I was planning to use it to hang my clothes." The guard says, "Don't try to be so clever, just hand it over to me." Saying this, the guard takes the metal from him and lets Morris go after a complete check. But our hero, he's a hero indeed. Actually, he had stolen 2 pieces of metal. He brought one in his hand and the other he had concealed within his shoes. With that sharp piece of metal, he cuts through the grill. Now it's time to create dummy heads to deceive the guards, a task these 4 responsibly undertake. Charlie then requests some paint from the guard. He tells the guard that he has a hobby of making art. The guard doesn't refuse his request and brings him the paint. Morris grinds the concrete he removed from the hole into a fine powder. John brings back hair collected from the barbershop, and Clarence gathers old books from the library. Once all the necessary items are gathered, Morris begins constructing a dummy head, carefully using water and old magazines. He then meticulously applies paint and attaches artificial hair, crafting a highly realistic-looking dummy head that appears almost real. At the same time, Morris made fake cardboard pieces to further strengthen his plan so that no one would be able to suspect that someone had dug a tunnel in the front wall. One night, Morris made the decision to go upstairs by himself. To do this, he carefully placed his homemade fake skull on the bed, covering it completely with a blanket right up to the neck. After that, carrying a piece of fake cardboard, he quietly emerged from the tunnel. There, Morris slowly and carefully climbed up onto the roof, gripping the pipes for support. Meanwhile, Charlie was standing guard outside, keeping a watchful eye on their surroundings. Upon reaching the roof, Morris sees an iron grill above, which he can't reach by jumping. Meanwhile, a guard arrives and asks Charlie why he's painting so late, and why his friend Morris fell asleep so early tonight. Charlie says, "Yes, sir. Morris was quite exhausted from his carpentry work today, so he went to sleep early." Just then, the guard's stick suddenly falls from his hand. As he bends to pick it up, he notices that Morris's hair looks very strange. Now Charlie starts trembling with fear, thinking they're in deep trouble, as the guard reaches his hand inside Morris's cell and touches his hair. Then Morris asks, "What happened, sir? Is my hair really that beautiful?" Luckily, just in time, Morris came down and lay there. The next day, Morris informs his companions that there's an escape route on the roof, but it's secured by a metal grill, and that grill is positioned very high up. "I need the help of one more companion." Then John states that he has completely finished digging his tunnel. "Tonight, I'll be there as well." Together, the two of them will open the grill. Later that same night, Morris and John make their way to the roof through the vents. John helps Morris up, and Morris then grabs hold of the grill. John observes that this iron grill is incredibly strong and has been completely welded shut. The only method to extract it is to cut it using a powerful drill machine. The very next day, in their music class, all the students were playing instruments of their own choosing. Suddenly, Morris's gaze lands upon a small fan that had been placed there. Observing it, Morris gets an idea. He believes he can modify it to construct a functional drill machine. Therefore, he instructs Charlie to somehow manage to hide this fan from its present location. Charlie very easily manages to hide the small fan deep inside his instrument box. When Charlie eventually comes out, the vigilant guards thoroughly check his instrument box, but they completely miss seeing the hidden fan, and Charlie is then allowed to pass through without any trouble. As soon as that particular fan gets into Morris's capable hands, he immediately starts working on it with great focus and determination, and after many long, painstaking hours, Morris successfully converts that simple fan into a fully functional and powerful drill machine. That night, Morris and Charlie climbed onto the roof and they started cutting the iron rod with a drill machine. The drill machine sound was incredibly loud, and hearing the drilling noise, the guards began to come upstairs. But by then, Morris manages to cut through a grill rod, and the sound of the drilling ceases. Once the drilling sound stops, the guard, unconcerned, simply ignores it and walks away. Now, these four had successfully opened up all their escape routes. Following this, on Tuesday night, they were set to break out of ALCATRAZ, the world's most secure prison, a place from which no one had ever managed to escape. The next day, they meet again, this time at a movie theater where everyone's watching a film. Amidst the film's sounds, Morris asks John and Clarence if their band is ready, and what about the raincoats we'd use for 2 boats and life jackets. They confirm everything's ready. Morris is waiting for midnight, hoping the guards' watch will weaken so they can easily escape. Just then, English brings some books to Morris's cell. Morris then says he wants to shake his hand one last time. English understands that Morris has made a definite plan to escape from here. He quietly leaves. But then, what happened next, Morris had not expected at all. The warden suddenly arrives to inspect his cell, as if someone had informed the warden about his secret plan. Morris becomes extremely nervous, because after all those months of hard work, his efforts were about to be completely ruined. The warden ordered every corner of Morris's cell to be checked. The guards meticulously searched every single item within Morris's cell, but Morris was no ordinary prisoner, someone who just made a small, simple plan. Instead, he had crafted an absolutely clear and perfectly executed plan, one that not even the warden himself, let alone his grandfather, could ever detect. Even when the guards specifically removed the suitcase from the exact spot where Morris had dug a tunnel to escape, Morris wasn't apprehended. This was because he had already meticulously crafted a fake cardboard and fitted it perfectly into the wall. When they find nothing there, the warden and guard leave. But the guard reports that Morris and Charlie keep talking all through the night. I suspect something fishy is going on. The warden says, "All right, tomorrow you'll change Morris's cell so they won't be together or able to talk." The following morning, during breakfast, Wolf once again confronts Morris, menacingly declaring that this very night would be his last. Morris, turning to his fellow companions, conceded, "This fool speaks the truth. Indeed, tonight will be my final night here." However, later that same afternoon, Wolf made a move to attack Morris with a knife.
But just as he did, English intervened, stepping between them and seizing Wolf.
Actually, Anglin also wants to help Morris. Whether he succeeds or not, Anglin truly wants to assist Morris with his plan. That night, Morris, John Clarence, and Charlie made a decision to meet up on the roof after getting out through their own individual vents. Charlie agrees to escape with his companions, but then as soon as he returns to his cell, he begins to feel quite nervous. Sitting alone in his prison cell, he ultimately decided not to be a part of the escape plan. Meanwhile, his 3 other companions managed to make their way out through their individual vents, eventually reaching the roof. For a considerable period, the 3 of them patiently waited for Charlie to join them. But after a significant amount of time had passed, when it became clear that Charlie would not be coming, they made the difficult decision to proceed without him. The trio then continued to move forward, strictly adhering to the details of their original plan. But right then, before Charlie's very eyes, his dream of freedom was slowly fading away. The 3 of them slowly began to run, staying hidden from the searchlight's beam. And so, he covertly makes his way to the very end of the building. At that moment, Charlie, confined in his cell, feels a sudden surge of determination and resolves to make his own escape. He then manages to squeeze out through his ventilation shaft, eventually reaching the rooftop. However, it was already too late, for he found himself unable to reach that high door on the roof all by himself. So, he lost his chance at freedom because of fear. On the other hand, the 3 of them climbed down from the roof using a pipe, avoiding the security guard in the tower, and reached the prison's final wall. Then, one by one, the 3 of them climbed over the fence wall and escaped from jail. Now, they quickly ran to the seashore. Then, they took out their raincoats and started blowing air into them with their mouths. It took a long time to inflate them by mouth, but they had no other way. That's why, putting in all their effort, the 3 of them somehow managed to inflate the tube boat they made from raincoats, and then they put the boat into the water. In this way, these 3 escape, completely tarnishing Alcatraz's formidable reputation. The following morning, a guard is meticulously checking each and every cell. Initially, the guard observes everything appears quite normal, but upon reaching Charlie's cell, Charlie stands there, pale like a ghost, silently reproaching himself deep down, wishing he had only mustered a bit more courage last night, then perhaps he could have escaped along with the others. The guard then asks, "Why is your friend still sleeping so late?" With that, he steps into Morris's cell and calls out to him, but Morris offers no reply. The guard gets angry, opens the cell and tries to lift him by his hair. But when the guard yanks him up, the head falls off. This sight completely shocked the guard because Morris was no longer in the cell but enjoying the outside world. He had left his dummy head on the bed. Following this, sirens began to blare across all of Alcatraz. Word quickly spread throughout the prison that some inmates had managed to escape. The warden then begins searching for the 3 throughout the prison. When they're not found inside, he launches a sea search. The warden can't believe they escaped. He thinks they must have drowned, but deep down, he knew they were very strong. Those 3 must have crossed the ocean waters by now and are surely breathing the sweet air of freedom. Headquarters officers are relentlessly interrogating the warden, demanding answers to their many questions. Were you perhaps sound asleep, warden, when those 3 managed to escape? The warden is under a lot of tension, but then, right there, the warden finds his dog's favorite flower. This meant that Morris also wanted to take revenge on the warden for his dog. Then the head of the search team comes and reports, "Sir, we have searched everywhere, but their body has not been found." Now, the warden, desperate to protect his job and his own reputation, instructs him to write the report exactly as he dictates. He insists that he document that the 3 prisoners made a deliberate attempt to escape, fabricating the details to cover up any wrongdoing and ensure his own safety.